Hello and welcome back to the ministry. And today we are talking about part two of two in relation to the perfect match. I kind of left y'all off on my note where I was talking about the Vashti point. So these men have been in relationships prior that hit them in such a way that, referring back to the last video, you have your main character, which is played by Terrence, and he's kind of relationship avoidant. His third rule is that he don't get in relationships, and because he doesn't get in relationships, he's taking a chance on what his friends challenged him to do, which was stay with the same woman for a period of time. So, what is that? It's a level of avoidance, because he knows that if he gets into a relationship with somebody, he's going to actually have to deal with emotions that he has been able to avoid because of the fact that if I sleep with you and just get it over with, then I don't have to think about emotions. I don't have to think about attachments. I don't have to think about my heart. There are such a thing as men that have hearts that are really easy to fall in love. These are the ones that actually are more prone to, when they want to go in the opposite direction, it's like if they're prone to falling in love easy, they're going to try to get in and get out. This is the serial one night standers, because they know that they have to stay in serial one night stands, because if they do not and let the person stick around too long, they will fall in love too fast. And this is why that happens. This is why this man has consistently avoided trying to be in a relationship. It comes from a childhood wound. In this person's case, we saw in the very beginning that his parents died, and he did not have good memory. His association with his parents is two people that loved each other that died, that he's been burying for years. Every time he gets close to emotional connection, he can't speak. I just listened to a beautiful. This is probably why the Lord held me off from doing this part, because what I just listened to immediately before I came on here, man, it was necessary. It's the word on Redefined TV called Emotions Cuffing Season Volume 3. Listen to that. But what happens is, and I'm going to do this in relation to this, is that this man in this film, he's literally dealing with emotions from his childhood that he's been bottling up. He's been bottling them up and trying to use sex as a avoidance. Another good word is Michael Todd, the sex container. And it's another word he does coupled up with that. In the first time he did the review for relationships, I forget what the full caption is, but man, this is imperative, because men that have relationship trauma, we as women deal with relationship trauma a little bit differently. We become people pleasers and this, that, and the other. Men, they have a tendency to, I'm not going to attach. I'm going to keep sleeping around it, because as long as I do not attach myself to any particular person, I'm okay. And that's what we're seeing in this film. So he ends up, he has her come to his house. Actually, she contacts him at work a few days later and says, "Can I meet you at your house in 20 minutes?" She was like, and he's like, "Oh, okay." And I don't know what job he got that he can freely just leave like that, but I guess he's that level of an executive. He can leave whenever he wants to. He just left, took a break, and left. When he left and got to his house, she shows up in a white trench coat. Now, you know, all of us women, if you've watched any movie, you know a woman show up in a white trench coat, there ain't nothing about to happen, but you know what's about to happen. And he says, "Oh, let me get you a bottle of water." He goes in the kitchen to get the bottle of water, and he gets himself something, and when he comes back, she's standing there in a trench coat. You know what happened. So, coming past this point, he's on cloud nine. He was like, "Oh, I done found somebody." Because to him, he feels his intimate sexuality matches her drive. So he's almost like, "Oh, I'm good here." Some men have the tendency that they're good as long as whatever it is they seem to be met is met. For instance, if they have a certain sexual drive and they meet a woman that has the same sexual drive and the same attentiveness that they desire, meaning same way that he treats the person, she treats him. So it's almost like, "Oh, I'm safe in this space. We good here." But because it's seemingly a safe space, he doesn't realize he's opening up to her. Which brings me to my next point, that some men do not like the idea of being able to open up. And this man didn't want to open up to anybody. But he finds himself beginning to unconsciously open up, because there's a lot of emotional things occurring, especially with his friend getting married, that when she's around, he's talking to her. Some men, and your kingdom spouse is probably one of them. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I know I mentioned that they have pieces and parts. Ooh, I got you right here. Some of these men, I told you in the previous one that if they can get something from Mary, Sue Ellen, Nigel, and whoever, they break themselves apart. Go back and look at the word that I did talking about. It was the widow at the well, but I flipped it, coming from the male perspective. That if they can get something from each individual person, they're going to see if they can try to get it from 12 different people. They will. Why? Because they got pieces. And if they can split their pieces apart into separate places, they don't have to deal with all of them at once. If you're married to somebody, you pour all those pieces into one person. They don't want to do that. Because if you know all of my secrets, then I can't finagle you anymore. Happened to me in a relationship. I was in a relationship, and by the time I figured that person all the way out, that's when they dumped me. Because they no longer could play their game with me because I figured them out. So what happens is he's on cloud nine. He goes back to work, and a few days later, she gives him a call, and he's like, "Oh, how you doing?" And she's like, "Yeah, you want to meet for lunch at such and such restaurant?" And he said, "Oh, okay, I'll meet you there. You can say be there in 20 minutes. So they met at the restaurant with a very clear signal of exactly what she wanted, because she walked up to him. At first I thought she gave him a rose, but what she gave him was her red underwear. He follows her into the bathroom. You know what happens. So from that point, he goes and meets his guy friends at the bar. Now, this goes into the way that guys deal with one another. Guys do not deal with emotion with each other the way that they deal with their female counterparts. And there's a level of openness that they do have, but there's a level that they do not have either. Society sits up there and paints it as, oh, it's the bromance, oh, it's the what have you, oh, it's the friend bro category of the way that guys sit around and talk about women and all this kind of stuff. And his friends were joking on him, talking about, so how's it going? You still with the same person? And he was like, yes, it's wonderful. I can hear Michael Jackson's Butterflies playing in the background. And he was talking about some other music song. And they listened up, they're like, oh, so he done fell for this chick. And then he turns around and hits both of them and says, no, you both are imbeciles. So there's a level of honesty that men have with their guy friends that they will, especially depending on how long they have been in relationship with these guys. These people know them. Maybe they've been childhood friends, what have you. Those are the ones that are going to get a little bit more of them than, let's say, their work buddies. Now, the work buddies might get more of them if, and only if, they don't have personal guy friends that they talk to. And they've been friends with these work friends for a long period of time. It's kind of like when you see the work wife and the work husband or something like that. These are the people that are the work friends, meaning we all in the same industry. We all in the same corporate field. We're all in the same office building. These are the ones that you pass in each other all the time. You stop and talk to each other at the water cooler. Sometimes you stand in each other's doors and just have conversation because you're bored between clients or assignments. Then afterwards, you either go and have lunch together, or you go after work and do your happy hour, or have dinner together, or whatever it is on a heavy work day, whatever that is. But yeah, it's two separate types of relationships with these friends than to your personal friends. So yeah, they may know a little bit more about you, but it's that element of compartmentalization that these men have. And men have a compartmentalization, whether it be their friends and or the female friends that they have in their lives. They know which one is which and how they're going to interact with each and every one of them. They gauge that, just like I said, when it came down to when they decide who they are going to sleep with and who they aren't. They know when they see you what level that they're going to operate in. And because of that, it goes even further than that. Now where am I? There are two women on the opposite side of the bar. And they're ogling all of them sitting there. This is the factor of commitment issues. He's so connected into I can't fully commit that he would even send drinks to other women just to secure their position, so that as soon as he's ready to get out of the relationship, or whatever he's in with this woman, he can move on to these other two women, because he does not have to commit. Again, I repeat, a man that does not give his heart to the woman can allow her to sleep with him and give her all the money he want to give her. But if his heart's not attached, he can go from one to another, one to another, one to another, one to another. Why? Because it brings a level of dis-ease to be able to fully commit to one person. Because there's a level of trepidation that if I give myself completely to one, they can now what? Hurt me. They can hurt me. So, because of the fact that it's a level that they can feel hurt, then they don't want to do that. So from this point, in the next scene, he invites her back over to his house, and they're swimming around in the pool, and it's like an emotional, intimate moment between the two of them. Then they get out the pool, and she's walking through the house, and they had a conversation. It's like to him, it's like a full-on fantasy of the perfect woman in his house. The best recollection I can give you is, you remember the old Tyrese video? I think it was called Signs, where he was describing every single woman that had been in his bed. And then he was sitting on the couch, and he was sitting there, and he started to open up to her. He started to open up to her. He began to talk to her about things. When a man is in a phase in which he is going through an evolution of self, God will bring a person into their life that will allot them the ability to deal with the emotional blockages that have kept them in the same patterns for years, that they will be able to talk to. He may not be able to get you to go through to a therapist. He may not be able to get you to go to XYZ, but he's going to bring somebody in your life that's going to line you up. Think about it like this. Have you ever noticed, as a Christian, that every relationship you're in, if the person is aligned to be in your life, they aren't easily swayed by spiritual warfare, meaning they won't be the one to attack you when there's a spirit of Jezebel coming at you. They may deal with whatever spirit that they're dealing with. Maybe it's a spirit of doubt, maybe it's a spirit of confusion, but they won't attack you. Jezebel is a spirit that it'll attack you through people that have wounds. Now, I'm saying this to say this. When God wants to get a breakthrough to you, he will send a person. Sometimes he'll send a person to you in order to break the walls down by getting you to open up to a person that he has positioned directly in your path that you think, oh, this person is here for this reason. No, they were there to break down the walls. The God-ordained spouse had that counterfeit in his life because of the fact that that person's the only job that they were there to do in that season was to break down the wall. And sometimes what God will do is use a very keen person that he knows that person will talk to break down the wall. Because God can control a person's mouth and tongue too. Have you ever heard somebody talking? You're like, man, sounds just like God was speaking to you. You think if God can do that to just a person randomly, you think he can't do that to the people that are around your God and ain't spouse? Do you? So with that being said, do you think that he can't have that person go to the one person that the Elroy, God that sees all things, knows that that's the one person that he talks to, and use that one person that he does talk to start breaking down his walls, so that he can then use that person in order to give them the therapy that they need in order to, break down the parts of them that are necessary so that they can be healed. And because this is a person that they're comfortable with, maybe this is the one of the 2 or 3 or whatever women that they sleeping with at the time, that they are a little bit more comfortable. The one that maybe there's one that they talk to, while the other one is the only one that they just go to when they drunk, high, or what have you, and sleep with. But this is the one that they sleep with and talk to. Whichever person's got their ear, just like the enemy goes to the person that got your ear, God will go to that same person that got your ear and speak through their mouth the things that are needed and necessary in order to help them heal. But when the job is done, it's going to be a clean break that they might not like. Because see, the tendency that we have, and let's just talk about this since we're here. The tendency that people have is that when you have a therapist, when you have a person that counsels you, when you have a person that listens, and you feel like the person is genuinely listening to you, you feel like that person is a part of your life. You feel like you have an actual relationship with that person. And therapists have to be careful of this because of the fact of the level of emotional openness that they have to be with their clients or get from their clients. The more relatable that they are, the more the client may feel like, oh wow, I can really talk to this person. This is where you run into therapists trying to have to get rid of their clients, because some clients will cross the boundary of thinking that they have an emotional connection to the person, like they can go on a date with them, or they can go, it's like client practitioner, what have you, rule. It's like, can't date them, can't do any of those types of things. And because of the fact that the emotional connection makes the client feel that that's what that is. So that's why you run into scenarios where the people will think that they're in love with the person. I lie to you not. I was watching on YouTube a replay of Stephanie P. And she did a long live session. And when she was doing the long live session, a guy came in. I think he was just joking, but this can happen. He came in and he brought a ring like he was going to propose to her. And it's the element of when you have the emotional ability to unpack a person's boxes, whether I'm sitting here with you like this or sitting with you, because I'm unpacking your box, the person has the element of believing, oh, I have an emotional attachment to you, that I have a relationship. Now, in this case, He thought he had a relationship with this person because his intent is, okay, I'm talking to this person, okay, we're doing it, but he forgot his own rules, which was the point. God will do that. God will fly in the face of all the rules that these men will make, because he will systematically bring a person into their life to break those rules, because he has to break them in order to heal the part that is behind the wall that they put up in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? So when he's laying around on the couch with this woman and he's sitting there talking to her, he doesn't realize that he's opening up to her, and she's sitting there, but she got her own stuff going on, but you never see her own stuff. So we are assumed that he's involved with this situation. Then she turns around and brings him a gift, which makes him even further believe, oh wow, she actually cares about me. She said, here, I'm giving you this gift. It's for your birthday. And he's like, oh, let me open. She says, no, you cannot open this gift until your birthday. And he's like, all right. So he lets it sit on the desk. It makes him feel emotionally accepted. And because, as I said before, he has this thing where he falls in love quickly. If he spends too much time in the relationship, he gonna fall in love. He only sleeps, quits, and leaves the person because he don't want to fall in love. So he goes to work. When he goes to work, he gets confronted by his boss and the annoying guy that he's partnered with on this assignment, saying, okay, this is what I see for this contractual deal. He sits down, he explains what the deal should be. He's like, I'm going to set up the YouTuber that I'm working with the artist that we got here, and I'm going to create a bridged joint venture where we create the commercial using the music from this celebrity, and then the actual content that the organic YouTuber does, he's going to be the one that's the star of the commercial, and then we'll do this, that, and the other, and we'll abridge this thing, and it will promote this technology. Ergo, remember, the technology is actually the technology that she brought into the company. She was the one that presented the presentation for this mobile eye scanning call blocker thing, which he actually is using on his phone because he had to test it out. Which also means that he has another vested interest in what she has done. You understand what I'm saying? So he has all of this circles around. Your God ordained spouse is the type of person that, I said this, go look at, it's in the God Ordained Kingdom Marriage, but it's also in the playlist that is for Rhema reviews. Look at the Prodigal Male. I believe it's the Prodigal Male. And in the Prodigal Male, it talks about the fact that you have this hero complex that some of these men have. I've got to be the savior of this situation. So, how do I put it? He feels like he's got to make it a priority to put this thing first. And see, in this, it's not even the fact that he's putting what she created or from her company first because of the thing that's going on between him and her. It ain't even really like that. But it's that element of saving the person in distress. I gotta help this person. This is the person I gotta help. Even if the person is seemingly attracted to me, I gotta help this person. I gotta make sure this, because they got heart. They got heart. They got a good heart. Even if the people that they're dealing with don't, they got a good heart. And because they got a good heart, the boss turns around and says, by the way, we got this deal. We got another, we want to take the touring for this particular artist that they wanted to use for the deal, the actual deal between the YouTuber and the artist. It's like, we want to take the musician and we want to put him up on a tour through our agency and company. And it's like, but he's got a tour request for another major celebrity. Why would he do? It's like, because we own the company, we want him on this tour. It's like, but that's not right. It's like, we pay you, do it. And because of that, he goes back and he invites her over, and she shows up and she's like, hey, what's up? She go in his kitchen and make him a drink. So she, one, been around long enough that she knows her way around his place. Two, she can see, because she is actually a kind-hearted person, to be honest with you. And here we go with these with the counterfeit. The counterfeit might actually be a kind-hearted person. They just, I always remember Tyler Perry did a little skit. It's about a minute long or so, that he talks about a person comes into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. God will allow a person to come into your life for a season that they're supposed to help you through something. They ain't supposed to be, y'all are, I even using this reference, y'all are like passing ships in the night. You're going one way, they're going the other way, but the Lord allows you to pass one another in order for you to assist each other in this season. But it's actually meant to, as you're passing each other, you do what you're meant to do in the season, and then they go their way, you go your way. But you're going in two different directions. Some people assume you get into that relationship thinking you're both going in the same direction, but you're actually, one's passing this way, one's passing that way. It just happens that you intersected. You understand? I can't go much further into this because we already coming to the end of this. So I'm going to say, this is Taj McCarran for Love, Faith, Peace, and Blessings. We'll meet you in part 3.